Good evening. This is Driving with Myles. I'm a state certified instructor. I teach teens and adults. I've been doing driver's ed 21 years. So today we're going to discuss some of the elements that are on the road test to prepare you. We're going to get right into it. And if you have questions, just let me know. We're going to talk about stop intersections because a lot of action and accidents and collisions happen at intersections. As you know, intersections are the most dangerous place. So you as a driver, you've got to be safe, you've got to make good decisions, and you've got to look. So when you stop, you have to have your foot off the gas. And if you're driving a manual, you got to put your foot in on the clutch, you've got to get it out of first gear, and you've got to hold that brake. You're stopping and looking left and looking right, checking for traffic, making sure you come to a complete stop. You also have to look to the sidewalk because pedestrians could be there. After you've checked your traffic, if your DMV tester, road tester gives you information or directions, you need to complete that maneuver. If you don't complete that maneuver, that could be failure. DMV tester, road tester will never have you make a dangerous maneuver, meaning pull out in front of a car, turn in front of a pedestrian. So safety is the utmost importance. Next, you have to come to a complete stop. You got to remain motionless. No rolling stops moving forward, looking, and then continuing. A complete stop is a complete stop. It seems like a simple thing, but sometimes the most simplest things give us the hardest times. Next, you want to look at the stop line. The stop line is that wide, thick, white line that you're supposed to stop behind. If you move forward, you're going to be into the crosswalk, and then you're going to have a deduction in point. So you don't want to move forward past the crosswalk. You want to stop. You want to look left. You want to look right. And then if the instructor tells you to make a right turn, you want to yield to traffic. Make sure that you can or cannot, whatever the sign says. If it says no turn on red, you have to wait for it to be green. If it says you can turn on red, remember, oncoming traffic is going across you. So you have to look. Okay, and that's really important. And that seems simple again, but those simple things can really cause you some difficulties. Next, let's talk about driving through intersections. Are you checking traffic left, middle, or right? Or are you just blindly going through? Intersections are high collision places. So you as a beginning driver, I'm trying to teach you those skill sets. Your parents should be teaching you those skill sets to look left, right, and left. Timing with lights. Is the light yellow? Is the light red? Is someone creeping up who's going to run that soft yellow or that hard red? Because we want to teach you good defensive driving skills. If you like what you're hearing and it's good information, please give us a thumbs up. Let's continue. It's timing. A lot of beginning drivers lack timing to make good turns. Left turns are particularly challenging. When I have my students go out, we drive around the block. Thank you. We drive around the block 4 times, making 4 right-hand turns. 4 times 4 is 16. Then we go around the block making left turns. 4 times 4 is 16. So we've made 32 right, total of 32 turns. And that teaches you good fundamentals. That teaches you timing when pedestrians come across because they're always unpredictable. Some pedestrians may run across before their light turns green. Some pedestrians may start walking just as the light turns green. Or some pedestrians may get caught in the middle. So hey, how you doing? What's up, Chicago? I gave you some examples of how pedestrians can throw off timing of making turns, okay? And if you're by a fast food or a restaurant, people are thinking about their stomachs. They're not thinking about the lights. They're not thinking about cars. They'll come up between 2 cars, which is jaywalking. So you have to be particularly careful at intersections. And I teach my students that. Are you looking left? Are you looking right? Do you see the man to the left? Do you see the family to the right? Because people will just walk right out of you. My day was great. Numbers are blowing up, Chicago. It's all about you. I mean, I'm so blessed that numbers are blowing up on both social media. So I just want to say thank you. And how are you doing, Chicago? How was your day? But it's all about helping people. And when you see your students make good decisions, they don't run yellow lights. They yield for pedestrians. Kids are unpredictable. They may see the light. They may run out in front of you. They may not run out in front of you. So you as a driver, you've got to cover that brake. You've got to make good decisions. Are your hands on the wheel? I've had a lot of questions about hand to hand, hand over hand. It varies from what state you're in, how your instructor was trained in college. Did a younger person teach him? Did an older person teach him or her? Are you in Australia? Are you in another country where you drive primarily manuals? There's no right or wrong answer to this, but you want to be able, when you make right turns, you want to be able to turn hand over hand into the turn and hand over hand out. If you're palming the wheel, you're not going to have control. You're going to lose control of the car. If you're shuffling your hands, you're not going to make a nice, tight 90-degree turn. I teach my students hand over hand into the turn. And once the car's out of the turn, you turn hand over hand out. I like consistency in the turns. And then we follow it up with a good parallel park where we line our vehicle up, we reverse back, we cut our wheels all the way to the right. The rear goes in, the front swings out to the left. When you're halfway, then you come back. I really like solid fundamentals because it's my job to teach you and get you prepared for your road test. Because if you don't do it efficiently, you're going to fail your road test. You're going to fail the parallel park and you won't even get to the road, or you're going to fail your parking maneuvers. So you got to work on those parking maneuvers, and you have to have good hand over hand in, hand over hand out. The same thing when you reverse parallel park. The same thing when you do 3-point turnarounds or U-turns. All of those things are tested, and you got to be solid. You got to be confident. You got to feel good. You should get a good night's sleep. More on that later. Are you accelerating through the intersection, or are you kind of coasting? Typically, what I see as students, because they're not used to scanning, particularly looking at that crosswalk sign, they literally slow down, losing 5 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour, 8 miles an hour. So I try to teach my students, are you looking ahead? Do you see the do not walk sign flashing? Do you see cars getting ready to pull out in front of you? So once they learn that information, they can make better decisions. Oh, by the way, that's my YouTube website, Driving with Myles. So if you haven't done so, I need you to subscribe. Let's keep going. Let's finish up talking about merging. I've had a lot of questions about merging on the expressway. So let's get right into it. You want to get on that ramp and you're at 35 or 40. You want to gradually accelerate and get up to freeway speed. So if you're at 35 or 40, you've got to push that gas pedal down. Don't be scared and accelerate. Look for a gap. Now, one of my kind of question, this is great. One of my followers said, what is a gap? A gap is a space between two objects. Okay, understand that. A gap. This is the gap. The two objects are my hands. Okay, this is a small gap. This is a big gap. This is a bigger gap. You as a beginning driver, these are one of the things that you struggle with because your parents will never say, hey, just get out and make a right turn in front of traffic. You're saying, Mom and Dad, I can't do that. I don't want to get hit. I'm not going, right? So those are some of the biggest things that I see as beginning drivers, pulling out in front of oncoming traffic. Because I have students, I get them in a car, we put on the seatbelt, we adjust our mirrors, we do all the safety checks, and then we start the car. We're going down a driveway, and then here's the main road. This is when you grow up as a driver. I've seen people literally grow up. You became a young adult, right? So you look at traffic, you're judging traffic. When it's safe, you pull out in front of that gap, and then you go right into the first lane, and whoosh, that stress is off. So that's a beautiful thing that I see all the time. And I teach safety. It's not about taking risk. Okay, same thing on the expressway. You can't stop on the ramp. Okay, unless there's an emergency, you've got to accelerate up to speed. You've got to look over your shoulder, check that blind spot, and accelerate up to speed. And most of the time, students usually do it correct. You got to turn on that signal, check your blind spot, and accelerate smoothly. If a lot of students lift their foot because you're scared, you're stressed, you're nervous. I understand that. So I try to encourage my students to have good speed control, merge out safely, and you see the stress come right off their face. And I'm there with you because I want you to be safe. Do you cancel your signal? Those are some of the elements that can cause you to lose points. When you're driving straight on the expressway, are you jerking the wheel because you're nervous, or are you relaxed? And if I see my students jerking the wheel, I try to tell them to relax, look ahead, breathe. And it takes 5, 7, 9 minutes, and then you relax. So we practice making merges on the expressway, merges off, merges on, merges off. So you get that repetition over and over and over and over and over. And once you get that repetition, you're consistent. And then you're feeling good, I'm feeling good, And it's a beautiful thing. If you like what I'm saying and you feel this brings you value, give me a thumbs up, please, because this is the real thing. This is what I do every day. I teach driver's education, segment one, segment two. I do road test prep. If you have questions, type them in, because it's all about interaction. Okay, so you got to have spacing. You got to cancel your signal. That's super important. We talked about that. When you drive straight, you got to have a space cushion. That space is between you and other vehicles. You don't want to tailgate other vehicles. And a lot of time, beginning drivers are so nervous. Thank you. Are so excited that they just lose focus and they're right on top of cars. So, as an instructor, I'm trying to teach my students. Let's take our time. Let's be patient. Let's feel the flow of the traffic and energy. And if you've seen some of my other content, when I talk about driving on expressway in the morning, driving at night, you need to go back and look through the series that I have on driving with Myles and look through that content. Look at 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, right? Ask yourself, am I keeping space? Am I on top of cars? Am I making lane changes? Am I erratic lane changer? You want to be smooth and consistent. The lane to the right, that's for slower moving traffic. When you merge out on your road test, you're going to be in the first lane. They may tell you to make a lane change one over to the left to the middle lane. You won't go all the way over to the far left lane. That's for passing. They want to see if you have the ability to merge on the expressway, maintain your speed, check your mirror and blind spot, and then cancel it. Okay, so like you taking a trip to grandma's house. It's quick on, it's quick off. Now, because of COVID, I've read some of the comments. A lot of people have said, hey, we're just driving in the parking lot. We're making turns. We're parking. Every state, every province is different because of COVID. Okay, we're still in a pandemic, but you have to know how to merge effectively. You have to know how to park. Those things are critical because you're going to go to downtown areas and they have parallel parking spots, right? You've got to know how to park. It's really important. And I take a lot of pride in my students knowing how to parallel park. So that straight driving, should I keep going the same speed? No, you've got to reduce your speed, Kobe. You've got to reduce your speed to drive for the conditions on the road. If you're driving at the standard speed limit, let's say is 50, you need to be driving at 45, maybe 47, because ice, rain, snow, sleet, fog, those are atmospheric conditions, and you've got to reduce your speed. And you don't want to just run over someone. You want to keep space. And I think that's the most consistent thing. If you've looked at my content, I have space. Both of my hands are on the wheel. I'm building through the front. Keep space. And you'll see cars cut in front of you and then make a lane change. You'll see cars tailgate you and then they'll make a lane change. You can only control the space in front of you. That's what I need all of you to remember. That space is your cushion. I know it sounds funny, cushion. That is your space cushion. In one of my videos, a lot of them, I say speed, space, and smile. Are you keeping good speed? Do you have a smile? And do you have space? Those things are very serious. If you like what's going on and you feel this content, it's going to prepare you for your DMV test, your road test, your G1. Give it a thumbs up. I'm preaching facts. And these are the things I evaluate students on daily, right? We talked about space with your driving and proper lane. If you're making a right turn, you want to turn into the nearest lane, unless it's a double right turn or triple right turn. I have some content on that too, so you need to be looking at that. If you're making a left turn, you want to turn into the nearest lane by the double yellow. But hey, what if they're double left turns? What if they're triple right turns? Whatever lane you're designated to be in, stay in that lane until you complete the test. Your DMV tester is going to sit in the passenger seat. They're going to have a clipboard, and they're going to grade you. Either you're going to turn into the correct lane and accelerate smoothly, or you're going to drift out of your lane. And if they have to touch the wheel or turn the wheel, that's a driving error. And you don't want them to terminate the test. And sometimes they do. Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. Exits. Are you reducing your speed in a deacceleration lane? If you go too fast into the curve, you're going to see the chevron alignment signs. You're actually going to slide off into the ditch. I've been in the ditch a few times with my students, not at freeway speed, thank God. But you've got to reduce your speed. You've got to look ahead. You've got to reduce all that speed. Let's say you're at 70. You got to drop it down 65, 55, 45, and then boom, you're in that deacceleration lane going around smoothly. Got to do your traffic checks. So let's review. I went over some of the driving elements, the driving skills that you'll be tested on. I just want to say thank you. I'm blessed that a lot of you are here supporting me. I appreciate you. And without you, I wouldn't be here. So this has been Driving with Myles. I'm a state certified instructor. I teach teens and adults. God bless you. And I will talk to you soon.